Now,
on News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
O'Connor and Company.
It is 5:07 on this Friday morning in the nation's capital. You made it through another week. Let's launch you into the weekend the right way. But we had a very busy day in news and politics and pop culture, and we're going to get you up to speed here as you get launched into your busy work life. Coming up at 7:05, Jay Green from Heritage Foundation, DEI ruining Virginia's universities, and he'll expose it all. 7:35, Representative Andy Biggs was part of that impeachment inquiry yesterday. We'll tell you all about it. 7:45, Bram Weinstein on the Commanders game this weekend up in Philly. 8:05, Teresa Summers of the Summers Farm, because it's fall. It's time to get out and get lost in a maze and find some pumpkins and pick some apples. And then at 8:35, Brett Baer, Fox News Channel, on the impeachment hearing and other news of the day. Are we going to have a government shutdown? Brett's seen his share, and we will discuss that too. I'm Larry O'Connor with Patrice Unmuka. Good morning, Patrice.
Good morning, Larry. I was just raising the roof for the fall festivities. I'm so excited about them.
I'm excited because it means that you're going to get all your boys and your family dressed up in matching outfits.
No, they don't want to do it this year.
I don't care. You are the head of that household, and you will demand it.
No, my husband is, and usually he's on board, and he's like, I don't want to wear the Apple King T-shirt this year.
that was a classic last year. Well, either way, you'll get a great autumn photograph of your family, your beautiful family. So speaking of beautiful photographs, I'll be putting out on social media in a little bit a photograph last night from the Birchmere. Listeners to this program will remember that just about 3 weeks ago, I think it was, we featured the lead singer of a band called Yacht Crew. Yacht Crew is a yacht rock tribute band, and I don't know why this is funny to you. So Mercedes Schlapp was on with me that day, and she spent all morning, poo-pooing the idea of yacht rock, and it's not like salsa. I'm from Miami. We like salsa. And, okay, fine. Sean Spicer is a huge aficionado of yacht rock because, well, let me just put it this way: it's middle-aged white man music.
That's exactly what I thought. That is exactly what I thought.
And this was the most middle-aged white man audience you'd ever see at the Birchmere last night. It was.
Were you all doing air guitar?
Well, yeah, we were there. I got to tell you. And by the way, we dragged Mercedes. Sean was there with his lovely wife Rebecca. Meredith came along. She loves yacht rock. She has no choice. And. And Mercedes came with her colleague at Newsmax, Jen Pellegrino. You know Jen very well from your appearances on Newsmax. And we had an absolute blast.
Oh, my goodness.
These guys are great. Yacht Crew is fantastic. They do have an album out now called Seize the Day. Seize like the seven seas.
That's cool.
Everything's a pun with yacht.
So are they doing cover? It's like a cover band, right?
All covers of the greatest, Christopher Cross, Michael McDonald, Kenny Loggins, Hall & Oates, music, white man music, middle-aged white man music. I say sheepishly because it was pretty evident there were not a lot of brothers in the audience. I'm not going to lie, but
I understand.
But music transcends these things. Patrice,
of course it does.
We had an absolute blast. I can't believe I have a voice because I was singing along at the top of my lungs. And I got to tell you, WMAL Nation came out strong to this concert.
There you go.
Apparently, according to the people at the Birchmere, and I was talking to them, because, it's around this time that we usually, this year we haven't been able to schedule and make the Free Speech Forum happen because of lots of conflicting schedules. But normally we would do our Free Speech Forum at the Birchmere, right about now. It's always like near Meredith's birthday, which is Sunday. Last year it was literally on her birthday, on October 1st. And so anyway, the Birchmere staff was like, it's great to see you guys. And they were talking, and they know. And the manager said, let me tell you something. The day you had Yacht Crew on your show, we sold like 50 tickets that day, which is like 10% of the house at the Birchmere.
Awesome.
And a ton of people came up to our table
to
say hi to Mercedes and Sean and me and Meredith. And they said, hey, we're here because we heard Yacht Rock on O'Connor and Company. This is great. Thanks for mentioning it. We didn't know about it. And now we're here and we're having a great time. It was a blast.
That's fantastic.
Absolute blast. And we got a picture. We got a classic selfie. Hunter, can you put it out there on the WMAL Twitter? Thank you, because I'm incapable right now. I'm so aflutter from my.
You're still kind of.
I am. I'm
catching up,
coming
waking
down off
up.
the high.
So what was
I've
your
had
favorite song last night, Larry?
Well, so by the way, Sean and Mercedes are going to join us coming up in the 8 o'clock hour to give their reflections on the evening. So Sean Spicer is a yacht rock purist. So like half the time they would start doing a song and Sean would look at me and go, "This isn't really yacht rock. This isn't He's like the yacht rock police or something. He's like
Is he a yacht rock snob?
He is absolutely a yacht
no,
rock
Sean?
snob. He's a yachter snob. He's a Yahtzee is what he is. But I have a soft spot for Styx. I don't know if do you know the band Styx
Vaguely.
from the 70s and 80s? You are just
probably because I've been on this show now for a few years. I've heard you talk about it.
I really appreciate your tolerance of this. They played "Come Sail Away," which is a Styx classic, and that was that was a great moment, I thought. They also played Kenny Loggins' "Danger Zone." Oh, their encore song was "Hotel California."
Oh, okay.
Which they did a great job covering.
I actually know those songs.
See, there you go. Now, you would have known most of them.
Okay.
Elwin Maneater was great. Hall & Oates Maneater was fantastic. That was a big one. Yeah, Mercedes definitely got up on her feet on that one. Anyway, we had a great time. Well done, Yachtly crew. If you guys ever see them, they apparently they played Leesburg like 6 weeks ago. They play like these, smallish to mid-sized venues.
Yeah.
And they have a cult following. People showed up wearing like little white skipper hats, like they were the skipper on Gilligan's Island.
Because I'm seeing the pictures here, and these guys, I mean, you might think that they have an act with the hats and the little crew captain's outfits,
They all dress up
they
like
dance,
one.
Though?
There was some moves. There was some choreography. I wouldn't go so far as to say it was dance per se, but they do all dress up like they are one member of the Village People. They're all dressed up like little sailors, like little captains.
But they are not in the vein of the Village People.
Not in any way whatsoever. Okay. Not in any way whatsoever. No. I mean, not that I know of. I didn't do a full inspection, but we had a great time. And their lead singer, Philly Ocean, is who we had on. And
Ocean. Okay.
He mentioned WMAL from the stage, and that got a huge reaction. So it's always fun to get out and see, because we have these people on the show to promote their events and promote their, and you never know, what kind of impact it has, and clearly it does. So
well, that doesn't surprise me. The WMAL audience, they listen to us and they follow. I mean, we're giving them what they need, what they want.
It's almost like we have credibility with them.
I think that's true.
And now I've blown it all by revealing my musical taste. It's like, I'm not going to listen to a thing this guy says.
Somehow, Larry, I think a lot of our listeners like the same music you do.
That's possible. Anyway, it was a blast. Great job by everyone at the Birch Beer last night. And if anybody who is out there, I think I'm the only one that's awake right now from the people who are at the Yachtly Crew concert. But it was if you ever see them playing in your neighborhood, go check them out, and check them out online too, because they have a video out. Apparently, Sebastian, you remember the Sebastian Bach, the big rocker from the 90s? Yeah. He's jammed with them.
Oh,
and
so
various, and Jim, the late great Jim. Oh, Margaritaville was. Oh, they did Margaritaville, and it was a huge tribute to Jimmy Buffett.
Oh,
and
that must have been pretty cool.
That was great, and the Pina Colada song. I can't. I'll stop. I'll go on and on.
Pina Colada.
That's the one. Yeah,
that's a good one.
See, these are all sing-along. There's sing-along and dance-along songs.
And you know what? I'm an 80s baby. I was born in the 80s, so this stuff, I know a couple of these.
You and Meredith both, exactly. It's 5:15, WMAL traffic and weather every 10 minutes first on the 5s. Jamie Whitten is now singing. I can hear her. She's singing along with all those songs in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center. There she goes.
And getting caught in the rain.
Come on.
That sounds awesome. Sounds like so much fun.
Capital at 517.
WMAL. Making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios.
Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Later this morning on the Chris Plank Show, at the first Biden organized crime hearing on Capitol Hill, the Democrats spend their time attacking Trump. 9 a.m. on WMAL.
There you go. There's your Christopher
That's
Cross
a vibe
action.
right there.
They
That's a
never
vibe.
played Sailing. They didn't play this one last night.
That
I
would've been,
know.
like their entry, the first
I know.
song. I would.
No,
I
they
think.
did not do this song, and much to Sean Spicer's chagrin. Sean is a big Christopher Cross guy. He's a little concerned about that. All right, on to the news of the day that has nothing to do with Yacht Rock. Patrice, I saw that you've written about this over at Independent Women's Forum, this antitrust case right now with Amazon, and I'm curious because I tried to unpack this, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to let Patrice explain it.
Okay, so this is a big case. You've got the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, Lena Khan. She's this young, up-and-coming, super radical, progressive. She thinks that she wants to remake how the federal government treats big businesses. Her philosophy is like big is bad and we need to break it up. And she's using her power. She certainly has caused Republican or right-leaning FTC members to quit because of how she operates, how she, some things are the way she pursues her agenda.
Yeah.
But the point is that she's going after Amazon. She wrote this crazy 90-page report about how you can take down Amazon. And so she's gotten her chance now. She's tried to sue them a couple of times, and this is the biggest lawsuit against them right now. It would, in essence, bottom line, folks, destroy Amazon Prime. Larry, do you have Amazon Prime?
We do, and I know Amazon is an evil empire, but I can tell you our family relies on Amazon Prime for a lot of things. A lot of things.
Like many, whether it is...
By the way, if it weren't for Amazon Prime during the pandemic and the lockdown,
Yes.
people would have been in desperate straits.
Yep.
Deliveries from Amazon Prime kept our economy going in some respects, as
Absolutely.
crawling along, but going nonetheless.
Kept deliveries coming to your doorstep and kept people employed. Remember, Amazon was hiring when millions of people were suddenly released from, laid off from their jobs. So you've got her coming after Amazon. And in short, what it would do, this lawsuit, if she's successful, and she has not been successful lately with her ridiculous lawsuits against other companies, but it would, in short, force Amazon to kind of change their business model in a way that would destroy Amazon Prime's free 1-2 day shipping, so that getting deliveries quickly to you, the logistics model behind that would have to be dismantled. Bundling of services, like I love Amazon Prime television streaming. The bundling that we see, that would probably have to be unbundled. And I think not just Amazon, but other big tech companies would not be operating in the same way.
Yeah. So a couple of things about this that really drive me nuts. First of all, I mean, I am a online shopper.
Yes.
And I have noticed over the past maybe 5 years that for the most part, for most big electronic goods and also just, like regular delivery things that we get at our house, it seems to me that the prices, unlike other areas of the economy, prices have actually gone down.
Yeah.
I mean, if this is what a monopoly looks like, it's actually working in favor of the consumer. Usually you would think an antitrust needs to come in there because we're getting exploited. We, the consumers, being exploited. I don't feel like I'm being exploited by Amazon Prime right now. I'm actually getting better deals than I got 2 years ago.
Well, and you're speaking, there's truth behind that. So Adobe has found that e-commerce prices are actually falling by 3%. Meanwhile, inflation is still up over 3% overall, but categories like electronics are even higher. So online e-commerce prices are falling. Amazon is not the biggest player. And frankly, there is a revolution in all of retail right now, where you've got the Walmarts, you got your Targets. They're both brick and mortar and online,
And they have to compete.
They
with
have to
Amazon.
compete.
That's
They're
right.
now doing the 1 to 2 day free shipping, fast shipping. That has become an industry standard because a disruptive company like Amazon came along and did it.
Same day shipping in some cases too. It's a
Yes.
freaking miracle when you go to buy something and they say, "Yeah, you'll have it by 5 p.m." It's like, what is happening?
Exactly.
I've actually retrained myself when I go shop. Like I'm a Sam's Club guy, and I
Okay.
do like walking through Sam's Club.
Yeah.
But if I know what I'm getting each week, I'll go to the Sam's Club online website. I'll click everything up and have it all taken care of for me. I'll get it delivered, or I can go, like at Home Depot, I go and pick it all up. It's already been pulled off the shelves.
Yes.
And I can just pick it up. None of that would have happened if Amazon Prime hadn't revolutionized
Exactly.
this.
Exactly.
So they must be punished.
So obviously they're punishing because they're being punished because they care about consumers, because they care about consumers having lower prices, better services, and revolutionizing an industry. And so that's what you have here. And this is a big government. This is a philosophy of those on the left who don't want us to have a lot of options, who want government to control every aspect of the economy and different industries and determine, hey, who gets to win and lose.
That said, Jeff Bezos is an awful human being, and he uses the Washington Post as his own political weapon. And if this hurts him, I am kind of in favor. But unlike a Democrat, I don't want the federal government being used as a weapon against my my adversary. So in this case, I guess we're on his side.
Well, and I think there's an interesting argument over at Daily Caller here. I saw this piece written by John Decker saying, hey, listen, Republicans, conservatives, we know that big tech censors conservative voices, and it's awful, and we need to call it out when it happens. But if you think that cozying up with your buddies at the FTC and a lot of Democrats in Congress who want greater censorship on social media, greater censorship on what you can stream and what you can say and what you can buy, you're going to lose out. So it's a losing argument. And frankly, of all the things that the Biden administration and the FTC should be focusing on, I don't think breaking up a very popular, very needed delivery service is what they want. You talk to voters, that is not breaking up big tech. It's interesting, but it's not the big issue that people care about. They want lower prices.
Yeah, well, this is what happens when you elect a radical in the White House. He gives you a radical cabinet, and they do radical things. All right, Patrice, let's put our hard hats on and get back to some of this construction around the studio.
Right? Sorry, you guys.
It's
Now,
On News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 5:36 now, Friday morning, chugging along here at record pace. Thanks for joining us. Coming up at 7:05, Jay Green, Heritage Foundation, talk about DEI agenda in Virginia's public universities. 7:35, Representative Andy Biggs on the impeachment inquiry hearing yesterday. Then at 7:45, we'll check in with Bram Weinstein on the Commanders game this weekend in Philly. At 8:05, Teresa Summers of Summers Farm, talk about what you can do out there and all around the area now that fall is officially on us. And 8:35, Brett Baer, Fox News Channel. Patrice Onwuka is here all morning, thank goodness.
Happy Friday, Larry.
Happy Friday to you as well. So will there be a government shutdown? When we're back on the air Monday morning, will we be in the midst of a government shutdown? And all indications suggest that there will be. And it looks like because the president and the Democrats in the House and the Senate, they want it. I know that because they're doing literally nothing. They are literally doing nothing. They're just sitting back and seeing if the House can acquiesce to their demands, which is the same old thing. Their demand is, let's just keep doing what we've been doing and not have any change in our federal budget or in our federal spending, like they didn't see the results of the 2022 midterm elections when the leadership, who's now in charge, the majority Republicans, ran on the agenda that we are going to get this federal spending reined in and we are going to secure the border. And so they won. They threw Nancy Pelosi out. They gave leadership to Republicans for that agenda. And Democrats saying, hell no, we don't care. We think everything's going great. We love Bidenomics. Let's keep doing this. Let's keep spending money we don't have. And that's really the crux of it. And if Joe Biden does not actually sign the new appropriations bills that are coming out of committee in the House, and he chooses instead to have a government shutdown, then it means that he's more interested in shutting down the government than he is shutting down the border. And there's no other way to look at it.
Well, it's so interesting because when you look at polls, most voters will hang this on President Biden and Democrats. They're going to hang a shutdown on President Biden, not on Republicans.
That'll shift after the media has their way. But yes, I agree.
Well, exactly, because now you're seeing, it's about the Republicans and not and the fact that there were some late night votes last night. I think you've got some holdouts on the Republican side who are saying, hey, listen, I think one of the biggest sticking points, as I'm understanding it, is funding for Ukraine and saying, hey, listen, this needs to be taken out of any sort of short-term deal or this needs to be debated in some other way. And then you've got those who are saying, listen, let's forget just the CR, 45 days, this continuing resolution. Let's actually pass these spending bills, agree to reduce the size of government, reduce spending on different agencies. And obviously, the left does not want that. And some hardline Republicans are saying, no, we've got to fight for this. And so that's where I think you're seeing both the internal breakdown divisions in the Republican side, but also just the difference between the Republicans and the Democrats. And I've got to say, during yesterday's impeachment inquiry hearing, the only thing that the Democrats were talking about were Trump and the government shutdown, because they're trying to shift the blame of the shutdown to Republicans right now.
Of course they are. Absolutely. Because that's all they do instead of actually doing something. It's their job to keep the government funded. It's their job to pass appropriations bills. The fiscal year ends on Saturday night, and it's their job to keep the government funded. And the majority in the House, for the first time in over a decade, have actually passed appropriations bills from the appropriate committees.
It's important to underscore that.
Yeah, instead of a giant continuing resolution or omnibus spending bill, no, we've got individual appropriations now trickling out of the House. I mean, I wish they hadn't waited until now. They could have been working on this a couple of months ago, but that's fine. I mean, they're really doing it. I haven't seen it in years. And that's the last thing Democrats want. They don't want to put their name on these individual spending bills, because then they'll be held accountable for their votes. They'd rather just say, well, we'll just keep the government funded and we'll just keep doing these continuing resolutions. I want to just take a moment and recognize, we're utilizing the left's and the media's vernacular here when we say government shutdown. And I know a lot of you are yelling back at the radio right now, well, the government isn't going to shut down. You're right. The government is not going to shut down.
No, it's not going to shut down.
Key aspects of the government will be closed for a few days because they don't have their funding. Federal employees will eventually get their pay. It always comes back to them in a lump sum. And I got to say, and a lot of people are like, well, you're being insensitive to federal workers, many of whom live in this area, by saying, oh, you'll be fine, you'll get paid eventually, because I recognize cash flow is an issue. But I got to tell you something. If you are a federal employee in 2023 and you haven't readjusted your monthly budget to take into account the fact that at any given time there might be a government shutdown, then honestly, at this point, it's on you. Because
it's an understanding.
How many of these have we had? The last one I think was 2014. And I'm sorry, if you thought it wasn't going to happen again, you're living in a fairyland. If I were a federal employee and I knew that at any given time, because of a disagreement between the two branches of government here, two of the three, that there might be a temporary pause in my paycheck, I'd have a little bit of a safety net built up. To get myself through that.
That's ideal if we weren't dealing with elevated inflation, Larry. That's the other true. Cushion. I mean, a lot of the savings that people had built up during the pandemic has been spent down just trying to maintain the same level of living.
Yeah.
And so that's where they're at. My heart does go out, though, to those who are contractors.
Yes, 100%.
They're not going to get paid. If the government is not paid, they're not paid, and they're not going to get exactly. They don't get back pay when things resume. And then you have a lot of small businesses that depend on the workforce, the federal workforce, whether it's the cafes, it's the dry cleaners, maybe some of the Uber drivers.
Yeah.
So there are rippling impacts of a government shutdown that's unique just to this area. That said, it is still important that Congress figures out how to pass spending bills through, a process which is like negotiation.
Yeah.
Figure out what needs to be funded. Hey, maybe we can actually cut budgets and still deliver on services. You can actually do that. It's called. We do that in our family budgets at home.
Of course they can, and they should, and they must. And if that takes a government shutdown to get it done, then so be it. That's what needs to happen. I think it's going to happen. I don't think it will be very long, because I think the public polling will show, as you suggested, Patrice, as soon as the polls show that the Democrats are getting the blame, this thing will end. This will end like that. So we will keep an eye on it for you. The deadline, of course, is diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's the buzzword. It's the trifecta. It's the DEI that so many of us have to deal with. And according to a Heritage Foundation investigation, it's absolutely infiltrated the public university system in Virginia, including George Mason University. I don't think George Mason would approve of DEI.
I'm actually surprised that Mason, of all the Virginia schools, would be so...
Right? Exactly.
Yeah, infiltrated.
Well, according to Heritage Foundation, and Jay Green, who was a co-author of this report, will join us at 7:05. Virginia leads the nation in the largest DEI bureaucracy of public universities. Thank you. This is the legacy of Terry McAuliffe and Ralph Northam, especially Ralph Northam. You know, when Ralph Northam's college yearbook was revealed that he, on his personal page, was either in blackface or a Klan hood.
Either one, terrible. Like,
pick your poison.
unacceptable.
Pick your poison. I'd like to think it's like, which one was he in blackface or the Klan hood? I'd like to think it was actually both.
So you take off the hood and there's blackface.
Exactly. He had blackface under the hood. That's my hunch. And you show me evidence to dispute it. You can't. All right. As soon as he was threatened with impeachment or forced resignation by his party because of the blackface Klan hood, he had to twist himself into a pretzel to accommodate the radical left of his party, even more than he already had as governor of Virginia. And here we are. This is now what we've got. After measuring DEI personnel per 100 faculty members, the analysts discovered that the University of Virginia, George Mason University, and Virginia Tech placed the Old Dominion over deep blue states like California and New York in terms of the largest DEI bureaucracies. On a ratio of administrators and staffers to students, we actually in Virginia have more DEI knuckleheads directing things compared to California. What does that tell you?
That tells us that a lot of the DEI professionals, and I put quotation marks around that word, that are getting educated in this area, getting government jobs, doing DEI work in this area, are now then filtering out to the academic institutions in this area and bringing their zany ideas.
Yeah, and listen, that's the problem is you hire all of these people and they're going to actually try to do something, because people don't take these jobs and just sit in their office and stare at a wall.
Well, some do, but...
They feel empowered. Now, George Mason is pushing back on this. They say that the report is fictitious. They said that it says, quote, a bizarre and wholly fictitious picture of Mason as a toxic campus churning radical ideologies through its diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. The report cites wrong numbers, math mistakes, and anecdotes that never happened at Mason or any other university. That says the spokesperson. So we'll ask Jay Green that. I mean, Jay Green stands by his study, and he says, no, this is the facts of the facts. He says that the Heritage Foundation, we believe that the GMU should prove that these statements are false instead of just saying it. Yeah.
And I mean, it's interesting in their report, they have a sample of the titles at Mason of these positions. Director of DEI. Sounds like a DEI position to me. Yeah. They have like 20 of these different positions in a lot of different disciplines, interestingly. The sciences. I mean, where does race come into the sciences, except when it comes to how you deal with different, maybe medical issues. Yeah. But it's weird that you're seeing all of these assistant directors, DEI manager positions, adding to the administrative bloat and the rising costs of college, but not really delivering on anything that advances academic freedom and ensures that campuses are actually a place where ideas can flow freely between students and academics.
Yeah. Well, listen, again, George Mason is claiming this is wrong. We're not like that. After all, we have the Antonin Scalia School of Law here, and that's true, actually. And I know people who have come out of that program, and I know we've had a couple of faculty members, and they seem pretty cool. But then you go to absolutely. The economics department has legendary figures at George Mason. But then you go to the website where they have their little, George Mason DEI agenda and DEI noteworthy things, and you look at some of the programs that they do, and they're endorsing this whole Ibram X. Kendi anti-racism agenda. This is the this is how they define it: an actionable commitment that intentionally looks at systemic levels of oppressions and challenges the paradigms, ideas, languages, and behaviors resulting from white supremacy.
Now, can I translate that for you?
Yeah.
White people, you have guilt. Give us money. That is what it is.
Thank you.
I'm translating it for you in the most basic terms. White people, you should have guilt. Give me money.
This sounds like my quarterly HR training that I have to sit through.
Mine too.
Yes. In fact, our program director Bill Hess is home yelling at the radio right now, and you haven't done yours yet.
I know.
I will, Bill. I will today.